Ladies, let me tell you something I've learned over the years. Men are not as complicated as we sometimes believe. Their actions are always louder than their words. If he hasn't been calling or texting you back, it's not because he doesn't have the time. It's because the energy you allow, the space you create, and the way you show up either pulls him closer or pushes him away. But I promise you this, if you understand the power I'm about to share with you today, he will call, he will text, and he will do it immediately. Not because you begged, not because you chased, but because he can't help himself. When you find yourself waiting by the phone, checking messages that never arrive, or refreshing a screen that stays silent, I want you to pause and ask yourself this: why am I the one doing all the chasing? Because the truth is, when you chase, you are teaching him that your time, your presence, your love, it is something he does not have to earn. And when a man doesn't have to earn something, he takes it for granted. Men are wired to pursue, to move toward what they feel they could lose. But if you're always the one reaching out, if you're always the one filling the space, he doesn't feel that pull. He doesn't feel the urgency to call, to text, to show up, because in his mind, you will always be right there, waiting. Now let me tell you, this is not about playing games. This is about shifting the energy of pursuit. It is about recognizing that you are the prize. And when you see yourself that way, you stop giving him the privilege of constant access to you without effort on his part. There is a difference between being open and being available all the time. When you are always available, when you pick up on the first ring, when you respond to a message in seconds, when you're the one sending 3 texts to his one, you are teaching him that he does not need to act with urgency, he does not need to pursue, he does not need to value. But the moment you pull your energy back, something powerful happens. He starts to feel it. He notices the absence. That silence, that space, it speaks louder than any words you could type. And what does he do? He wonders where you are. He wonders why you haven't reached out. He wonders who might be getting your attention instead. And suddenly, that phone in his hand doesn't feel so heavy anymore. Suddenly, that urge to call, to text, to connect, it rises to the surface, because men chase what they fear losing. When you stop chasing, you are not walking away. You are simply holding your power. You are saying, if you want me, show me. You are saying, I don't have to prove myself to you. You have to step forward to meet me. And believe me, when you create that shift, when you let him feel the absence of your effort, you ignite the natural instinct in him to pursue. That is how he learns your worth, not by you telling him over and over, but by him feeling the gap when you no longer fill every space. Think about this for a moment. If someone keeps pouring water into your glass, whether you ask for it or not, after a while, you don't even notice it's being filled. But the moment the water stops, the moment the glass runs dry, suddenly you look up. Suddenly you feel the thirst, and you realize you miss what you once took for granted. That's exactly how men respond when you shift the energy of pursuit. So if you've been wondering why he hasn't been calling, why he hasn't been texting, I want you to stop chasing. I want you to stop pouring. Because the minute you reclaim your energy, the minute you stop proving yourself, is the same minute he feels the need to step in. He will call. He will text. He will do it not because you begged him to, but because he cannot help himself. One of the most powerful forces in any relationship is mystery. When everything about you is laid out on the table, when he knows your every move, your every thought, your every emotion before you even share it, what's left for him to discover? Men are driven by curiosity. They are pulled in by the unknown. And when you give all of yourself too quickly, you take away that spark of wonder that makes him lean in closer. The truth is, what we reveal too soon often loses its value, but what we hold with intention builds desire, it builds longing, it builds the urgency to reach out. Sometimes we think that by filling silence with words, by explaining every detail of our day, by always being available to respond, we are keeping the connection alive. But often, it is the silence that speaks the loudest. It is the space that makes him wonder where you are, what you're doing, who you might be with, and it is in that wondering that his fingers itch to type, his thoughts drift to you, his need to connect grows stronger. That's why mystery is not about hiding who you are. It's about not offering all of yourself at once. Think of it like a good book. If you could flip to the last page on the very first chapter, would you truly savor the story? Would you linger over each page, curious about what happens next? No, you wouldn't. You'd skip ahead, skim through, and lose the magic of the journey. Relationships are no different. When a man feels there is more of you to discover, more of your mind, more of your heart, more of your energy that is yet unrevealed, he stays invested. He calls, he texts, because he doesn't want to miss a chapter. Now, this doesn't mean you become distant or cold. It doesn't mean you play games or pretend to be someone you're not. It simply means you practice restraint. You allow space for him to ask the questions instead of giving all the answers before he's earned them. You allow moments of pause where he has to wonder, where he has to take action, where he has to initiate. That is what keeps the balance of pursuit alive. Because when you're always the one revealing, always the one filling the space, he gets comfortable, and comfort without effort breeds complacency. Mystery also lives in how you carry yourself. When you walk into a room with a presence that doesn't scream for attention, but quietly commands it, you are magnetic. When you choose your words with intention, leaving some things unsaid, you draw him in closer because he wants to know more. When you live a life outside of him, with passions, with purpose, with moments that don't revolve around his presence, you become more than just someone he talks to. You become someone he has to chase to truly understand. And here's the beauty of it. Mystery is not manipulation. It is self-respect. It is recognizing that you are a story worth reading slowly, not skimming through in one sitting. It is allowing him to pursue, to wonder, to feel the pull of curiosity that makes him realize he doesn't want to risk missing out. So the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to overshare, to fill every silence with words, I want you to stop and remind yourself, mystery is the magnet. And when you embrace it, he won't be able to resist. He will call, he will text, he will do it because the curiosity of who you are will leave him no other choice. When you speak to a man, when you interact with him, every word you choose, every tone you carry, every action you take is either sending a message of value or a message of need. And men, whether they admit it or not, can feel the difference immediately. Need says, I can't be whole without you. I need your attention to feel worthy. I need your response to feel validated. But value says, I am complete already. I enjoy you, I appreciate you, but my life is full and beautiful with or without your constant approval. And let me tell you, men are not drawn to need. They are drawn to value. You see, when your communication reflects confidence, when your energy shows you're rooted in who you are, you set yourself apart. Because so many women are taught to cling, to hold on, to try harder, to text more, to explain more, to give more in hopes of keeping a man's attention. But that only backfires, because instead of drawing him closer, it pushes him away. Why? Because he doesn't feel he's choosing you. He feels you're choosing for him. And men want to choose. They want to feel they've earned the privilege of your time, your love, your affection. Think about the difference in these two approaches. If he sends you a message and you reply instantly with a long, emotional response every time, he feels that you are waiting, that you are depending on his words to breathe. But if you respond with warmth, with clarity, with joy, but without overextending, he feels your strength. He feels your independence. He sees that your happiness does not hinge on him. And that contrast is powerful because men chase what feels steady, what feels grounded, what feels like it does not crumble in their absence. The way you carry yourself in conversation reflects how you see yourself. If you are constantly apologizing for asking questions, constantly second guessing what you say, constantly trying to win his approval, he may answer you, but he won't feel compelled. But when you speak with assurance, when you share your thoughts unapologetically, when you laugh without hesitation, you show him your value. And that value is magnetic. It makes him lean in. It makes him want to know more. It makes him reach for his phone to keep the connection alive. This isn't just about words, it's about energy. If you are clinging, he feels it. If you are desperate, he feels it. But if you are radiant, secure, fulfilled, he feels that too. And when a man feels that kind of energy from you, he wants to be around it. He wants to text you, to call you, to stay in that light. Because it feels good, it feels rare, it feels valuable. So you don't need to overshare or overgive in your communication. You don't need to chase his attention with a flood of words. Instead, you can bring presence. You can bring joy. You can bring the calmness of someone who knows her worth. And the beauty of it is that when you stand in your value, you give him the space to rise. You give him the opportunity to step forward, to give, to pursue, to call, to text, to show you through his actions that he recognizes what he has. Because a man will always be drawn to value, never to need. And when you communicate with the strength of knowing who you are, he cannot ignore it. He will call. He will text. He will do it because your value leaves him no other choice, Every human being longs to feel something deeply. We all want to feel seen, appreciated, understood, and desired. And men are no different. When a man feels those emotions in your presence, when he experiences them through the way you speak to him, the way you look at him, the way you appreciate who he is, you unlock a part of him that cannot stay silent. That's when he feels compelled to reach out, to call, to text, to keep that feeling alive. Because emotions are the triggers that drive behavior. Logic may tell him to wait, to hold back, to play it cool, but emotion will have him picking up the phone without a second thought. Now, let's be clear. This is not about manipulation. It's not about tricking someone into feeling something. It's about connecting with the heart, not just the surface. When you genuinely notice the little things he does and acknowledge them, when you give him appreciation for the effort he makes, you touch his core. Men don't always admit how much they crave that recognition, but it matters to them deeply. If he feels like you truly see him, not just what he gives you, but who he is, he begins to associate you with a sense of significance. And when someone makes us feel significant, we hold on to them. It can be as simple as the way you say thank you. Not a casual thank you thrown away like spare change, but a thank you that lingers, that carries sincerity. Or the way you notice his effort, even when it's small. Like the way he remembers something you mentioned, or the way he tries to make your day easier. Those acknowledgments create an emotional imprint. And that imprint is powerful, because long after the words fade, the feeling remains. Desire is another emotional trigger, and it's not always about the physical. It's about the way you make him feel like a man. Men want to feel admired, they want to feel respected, they want to feel like they matter. When you let him know you value his presence, when you express admiration for the qualities that set him apart, he feels that spark. And that spark, it doesn't just sit quietly, it pushes him to act, to respond, to connect. There is also the power of making him feel understood. When you listen without judgment, when you allow him to open up without rushing to fix or criticize, you give him something rare. Many men don't get that space in their daily lives. They're expected to be strong, to hold it together, to carry the weight. But when he finds someone who sees beyond that armor and welcomes the man underneath, it's a release. That release ties him to you in ways words cannot. So when you think about why he hasn't been reaching out, consider whether you've been connecting to his mind only, or if you've been reaching his heart. Because once you tap into his heart, once you awaken those emotions inside him, he can't help but come back for more. He won't risk letting that connection slip away. That's when the texts start coming in. That's when the phone rings. Not because you asked, not because you reminded him, but because the emotions you stirred in him won't let him stay silent. And that is the beauty of emotional triggers. When you make him feel truly seen, appreciated, and desired, his heart will speak louder than his pride. And in that moment, he will call, he will text, he will do it because his emotions leave him no other choice. One of the most important truths in relationships is learning how to balance giving and receiving. Too often, women are taught to prove their worth through effort, through constant giving, constant nurturing, constant reaching out. But when you give more than you receive, when you pour endlessly without allowing him to pour back, you tip the scale. And when the scale is tipped too far, a man no longer feels the need to step in because you've already done the work for both of you. That's why it is so powerful to mirror his effort, not overextend yours. When you mirror, you reflect the energy he is showing you. If he calls, you answer with warmth. If he texts, you respond in kind. But you don't go beyond what he's giving, because that's when you move into chasing. Chasing is when you start running ahead while he's still standing still. And if you've ever been in that position, you know how exhausting it feels. You end up carrying the relationship on your back while he grows more and more comfortable doing less. But when you hold back from overextending, something shifts. He starts to notice the space. He realizes he can't just sit back and wait for you to do it all. If he wants the connection to grow, if he wants to keep your attention, he has to step forward. That's when the balance returns. And that balance is what makes him call, what makes him text, what makes him show up more consistently. Because he feels your energy matching his, not chasing, not forcing, but mirroring. This is not about withholding love or playing games. It's about self-respect. It's about saying, I will meet you where you are, but I won't carry both of us. Because when you keep giving more than you're receiving, you teach him that the bare minimum is enough. And when the bare minimum is enough, he never has to grow. But when you mirror his effort, when you show him that he must bring something to the table too, you give him the opportunity to rise. Think about it like a dance. If one partner keeps pulling and spinning and twirling while the other just stands there, it's not a dance anymore, it's a struggle. But when both partners move together, when one step is answered with another, the dance becomes fluid, balanced, beautiful. Relationships are the same way. When you stop overextending, when you mirror instead, you create rhythm, you create harmony, you create a dynamic where he feels the responsibility to move too. And here's the beautiful part: when you mirror, you never have to question where you stand, because his effort tells you everything. If he invests, you invest. If he pulls back, you know it's not your job to fill the gap. You don't have to send 10 texts to his one. You don't have to chase him down to remind him of your worth. You let his effort reveal his intentions. And that clarity is powerful because it keeps you from losing yourself in the process of loving him. When you learn to mirror instead of overextend, you step into your power. You show him that your love, your attention, your presence is valuable, but it must be matched. And when he realizes that, when he feels that balance, it awakens his instinct to pursue. That's when the energy shifts, that's when the effort multiplies, and that's when the phone lights up. He will call, he will text, he will do it, because you stopped over-giving and gave him the space to finally step up. There is something undeniable about a person who knows their worth. You can feel it the moment they walk into a room. They don't have to announce it. They don't have to prove it. They don't even have to demand it because their presence carries it. And that is the kind of energy that shifts relationships, that changes the way a man shows up, that makes him pick up the phone and reach out without hesitation. Anchoring yourself in self-worth is not about pride. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing the value of who you are and refusing to settle for anything less than what honors that value. When you know your worth, you stop begging for attention. You stop chasing validation. You stop twisting yourself into someone else's idea of enough. Instead, you stand rooted in the truth that you are already enough. And from that place, you move differently. You don't panic when he takes too long to reply. You don't crumble when he pulls back for a moment, because your identity isn't hanging on his behavior. It's grounded in who you are. That kind of steadiness is magnetic. It draws a man in because he feels the security of your presence. A woman anchored in self-worth doesn't fear being alone because she knows her life has meaning outside of anyone else's approval. She invests in herself. She nurtures her dreams. She builds a world so rich that a man doesn't complete her. He only adds to her. And that shift is powerful because men are drawn to what they respect. When he sees that you respect yourself, when he realizes you won't bend or break just to keep him, he rises to meet you. He knows he can't play with your time. He can't give you half effort. He can't take your energy for granted because you won't allow it. Self-worth is what sets the standard. It's what tells him, this is how I deserve to be treated. Not with words, but with the way you carry yourself, the way you respond, the way you walk away from anything that does not align with your value. And when you hold that line, you teach him how to treat you. You show him that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. And privileges must be protected, pursued, and cherished. The truth is, when you anchor yourself in self-worth, you stop chasing men who aren't ready to rise. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into places that can't contain you. You stop giving your best to someone who only offers you the bare minimum. Instead, you stand tall, you shine bright, and you let the right one step forward. And here's the beauty. When you move with that kind of confidence, you won't have to ask for his attention. You won't have to wonder when he'll call, when he'll text. Because he'll feel it. He'll know he has to step up if he wants a place in your life. That's the difference self-worth makes. It creates a natural magnetism that cannot be ignored. Because when a man sees that you honor yourself, he knows he has to honor you too. And that's when the game changes. That's when the pursuit begins. That's when his actions match his words. He will call. He will text. He will do it because your self-worth leaves him no other choice